Hey guys, Jeeps here, and welcome back to Tribes Ascend! Today we are going to be doing another class spotlight looking at what was given in the Accelerate update, and today it is going to be on a class I give a lot of crap to, and I probably shouldn't give as much crap to. That's right, it's the Brute! So, as always, we have a new primary weapon, a new secondary weapon, and a new belt item to check out, all of which are modifications of the starting gear. So, for primary weapon, this means that instead of the heavy Spinfusor, we now have access to the lovely Devastator Spinfusor. So what are the differences between these two? Well, main difference, Devastator Spinfusor does less damage, but has a higher blast radius than the heavy Spinfusor. But there's a twist. It is more exciting than that. To compensate, or I guess to just make it more interesting, the Devastator Spinfusor does quite a bit higher damage on a direct hit. So, while your blast radius is larger, your splash damage comes out about equivalent to a regular soldier Spinfusor. You know, maybe around 660-ish on the close range blast, albeit with a much bigger radius. However, this thing does over 1200 damage on a direct hit. That is devastating. And between the bigger blast radius and the higher direct hit damage, I think this really does a lot to reinforce the Brute's indoor combat, up close and personal nature. Now, for secondary weapon, going back along with the up close and personal, we have a new version of the auto shotgun, which is the Hammer. Nothing quite as interesting here. This is a simple, lower clip size, higher damage trade-off. If you like shotguns, you might like this one more just for the straight up higher stopping power. Again, you have less leeway for error because you have to reload more often, but higher damage, that might be your thing. The Brute certainly has no lack of options in the secondary weapon slot at the moment, given it now has 4 weapons. Arguably, I'd still say the Nova Colt or the Plasma Cannon are better options than either shotgun, just by giving the class a little bit more versatility. However, if you really like the shotgun, Hammer is definitely worth a look. Lastly, and this I think is a terrifying change, we have a new version of everyone's favorite / hated weapon, the Fractal Grenade. So what is the Extended Fractal? The Extended Fractal gets slightly lower damage per tick, but has a slightly longer blast duration. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Fractal is the crazy disco grenade, as a lot of people like to call it. It shoots out lasers in all directions. It doesn't actually explode. Lower damage almost doesn't matter for this. That duration is nice. I would argue this might be just straight up better than the basic Fractal Grenade. In fact, on a side note, I've noticed, if anything, the only weapons from the Accelerate update that feel like they might be a little bit too good are the new belt items. A lot of them, yes, they're getting lower damage, but the trade-off they're getting in place of lower damage just makes them so much more forgiving, which with grenades is quite a big deal, given most often your grenades just miss. Making them more forgiving means they're more likely to do damage in the first place, whereas right now, a lot of times you'll just miss, because they'll get out of the way. So, Extended Fractal, this thing is scary. If you didn't like Fractals to begin with, you're not going to like this either. And I'm saying that from the receiving end, because let's be honest, everyone likes throwing Fractal grenades. It might make you feel dirty inside, but everyone likes throwing Fractal grenades. This thing does roughly, I think, 390 per tick, whereas I believe the regular Fractal does 4 or something, 400-ish. So it's not substantially less damage either. Again, the duration's not that much longer, but again, longer duration on a Fractal grenade, that is terrifying. Alrighty, well, let's go hop into some target practice. Let's take a look at what these do in practice, and then we'll conclude on the matter, shall we? Alright, guys, I will see you in there. Alright, well, let's give these a try, shall we? First of all, the Devastator Spinfusor. Let's target right here. You can see you get about 700, I think is the max damage you can do from Splash. Got about 675 on this guy. But where it really shines, direct hit, 1204, which is curious. Don't know why it's 1204, but over 1200 damage. That is nothing to scoff at. For perspective, the regular heavy Spinfusor does 1050 damage. That is 154, I guess, extra damage on a direct hit. That is impressive. That's also higher direct hit damage than the Gladiator, which is around 1120. However, the Gladiator's splash damage, if you hit with all 3 explosions, is still higher than either of these, as it is around, I want to say 1600, because it's 800 followed by 500 followed by 300 if you hit by all three. So for raw power, the Gladiator will win out if you hit with all three explosions. However, if you are a fan of Spinfusor weapons, the splash damage on this, the max, is only 50 less than the heavy Spinfusor. Plus, you get the larger blast radius and the much higher direct hit damage. Arguably, I would say the Devastator Spinfusor is straight up a little bit better than the heavy Spinfusor. Again, unless you just really want that slightly higher blast radius. Next, the hammer. It's really fun to bring down the hammer. Again, does 8 shots, just like the sorry, not the Spinfusor, the shotgun on the Pathfinder. And it does 60 per tick. Compared to the regular auto shotgun, does 50 per tick, meaning it once again does 80 more damage. So it's not substantial. However, it is enough that it might kill someone that little bit quicker. So, personal preference on this one, I'd say. There is no clear winner. Arguably, I would still say the Cult and the Plasma Cannon are better options. Lastly, but certainly not least, this is the Brute we're talking about here. Definitely not least when you're talking about a Fractal Grenade, is the Extended Fractal. Let's toss that over there. As you can see, it's a nice yellow color. And is it not going to ever hit them? Wow. Well, that was the worst Fractal that has ever been thrown in the history of Fractal Grenades. But it does about 390 per tick, and by my estimate is about a 7 to 8 second duration, which is about a second or two longer than the standard Fractal Grenade. And doing about 10 to 20 damage less depending on fall off. So again, arguably a little bit better because the damage reduction is not substantially less. And that 1 or 2 extra seconds could mean the difference between clearing out a gen room or a flag stand or anything of that nature. So again, Extended Fractal definitely helps the Brute indoors. Not that it needed too much in the grenade area. Devastator Spinfusor, significantly, in my opinion, better indoors, which is where the Brute really shines, than the heavy Spinfusor. Gladiator still wins out if you just want raw splash damage, but again, that requires all 3 hits, and this is an impact-based explosion. Alright guys, that has been this spotlight on the Brute. Like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment if you would like to discuss. As always, I am AtnaShadow in game. Feel free to friend me. If you do, please leave a comment or send me a message either way, just so I can know who you are. I do actually have a few followers now who I have no idea who you guys are, and I would love to know who's following me. Just, I don't know, I don't want to feel rude and get to see you in game. Alright guys, as always, I have been Jeeps, and I will talk to you guys later.